Chapter 11. My Trip to China. Hi, I'm starting this journal so I can remember every detail of my trip to China. So far, it has been an amazing trip. I've only been here for 3 days and I've eaten 3 jumping gozu. They're delicious. I don't know what I'm gonna do when I get back. Fallen into the toilet once. It was not pretty. Had to jaywalk. I'm not proud of it, but it was seriously the only way to get across the street. So far, the highlight of my trip has been visiting Popsicle Grandpa. I sat in my grandparents' room writing my journal for Mrs. Swan while my Lao Ye cooked dinner. I was happy to be writing again. This time, the words flowed out. Next to me, my cousins Bo and Lian were watching the television. My parents were out on a date night, their first time in many years. Bo and Lian had the volume up all the way. Hey, do you guys mind turning that down? I asked. As usual, they ignored me. I put my pencil down and frowned. I was tired of this. Lala came into the room and asked, Has anyone seen my exercise fan? What fan? I asked. My traditional decorative fan. I need it for my dance exercise at the park tomorrow morning. At the mention of dance exercise, my cousins immediately got up and started prancing around. This is what Lau Lau does, they giggled, pretending to fan themselves while lifting their arms and legs high up in the air. Go ahead, make fun, she said, rolling her eyes. To me, she explained, Chinese seniors live long, healthy lives because we do our exercise in the park every day. I keep telling your Lao Ye to come with me, but he always stays home reading books. What about you? You want to come with me tomorrow? I grinned. Sure. I helped her find her exercise fan underneath her bed beside her basket of paper wads. When I got back, Bo and Lian were freaking out. What's wrong? I asked them. It just stopped working, they said, pointing to the TV. They pounded on it and shook it, but nothing they did changed the snowy static on the screen. Let me see, I said, shaking the antenna connection. It was small, more basic than the one we had at the motel. The sign was probably weak from heavy snow falling outside. Got any paper clips? I asked Bo. He and Lian finally found one in Lao's desk, and I bent it so it looked like an S. Then carefully, I attached it to one side of the TV and to the other antenna. It was a trick I watched Lupe's dad, Jose, do during the occasional thunderstorm back home. To my cousin's delight, it worked. The screen flickered back to life. How'd you do it? They asked, looking at me like I was some kind of TV goddess. I chuckled. Just something I learned living at the motel. Somehow, I wondered what Fred was doing and were Mrs. T and Q still holding their How to Navigate America classes this week, even though it's Christmas. And Lupe, did she go with Jason to see Toy Story? I wish I could pick up the phone and call my best friend, but Mom had said long distance calls to America were so too much expensive for my grandparents. So I went back scribbling in my journal while Bo and Lian watched TV. This time when I asked them to turn it down, they listened. And when I was done writing and asked, Can I watch too? Bo and Lian scooted over. We watched Monkey King and the adventures of Shook and Beta Mice together. It felt just like the old times. I laughed with my cousins, feeling proud for fixing something so much more important than an antenna. I fixed a doubt that I was a native enough in their minds. Bright and early the next morning, my grandmother woke me up. Come, come, we're going to the park, she said, pulling me up from my bed. She was dressed in her jogging suit, holding her huge pink exercise fan in one hand and a portable boom box in the other. I don't know, Lau Lau. I'm not exactly the morning exercise type, I said, yawning. Hank overheard me saying morning exercise in English and he poked his head in. Exercise? He asked. Hanka! Lau Lau turned to me and told me to interpret. He can come too if he wants, but he better hurry up. They're starting already. Give me 5 minutes, Hank said. He pointed to the boombox. What's that for? Exercise music, Lau Lau grinned, showing Hank the tape in her hands. Oh, can I bring one too? Hank asked before disappearing into his room. Soon he reappeared in his own jogging suit carrying a mixtape. Made this for the trip, gotta have my tunes. I chuckled. He really did pack everything. The park was full of people when we got there. Most of them were seniors. My grandmother quickly found her fan group and joined in. I watched as a group of 70 or so seniors danced in sync with the decorative fans, singing old Chinese songs as they exercised. It was truly a sight unlike any other. Hank, meanwhile, squeezed past the ladies doing Tai Chi and the couples tango dancing and a group of gentlemen doing Kung Fu. He set up my grandmother's boombox on a patch of grass, put in his tape, and pressed play. Suddenly, a woman's voice sang, "Everybody dance now," and a thumping beat blasted through the speakers. Seniors in all directions started nodding their heads to the beat. A few dropped their fans and moved towards Hank. "Hank, look!" I called, laughing. His jaw dropped as scores of Chinese seniors gathered around him, ready to rock and roll. Hank danced, and they copied his moves. When he turned left, they turned left. When he turned right, they turned right. Within an hour, Hank was leading 100 Chinese seniors, all of them dancing to C plus C Music Factory. It was so awesome. When it was over, Hank came running to me, breathless from his workout. "That was amazing," I grinned, giving him a high five as he sat down next to me to catch his breath. "Those seniors can sure move," Hank said, taking a drink from the water jug my Lau Lau brought. Lau Lau beamed when I translated what Hank said. "I told you, we still got it," she said proudly. "Now, come on, let's go for some tofu now." As they walked towards Lau Lau's favorite silk tofu breakfast place, she linked arms with Hank and thanked him for giving her and her friends a morning exercise they'd never forget. "Do you do that every day?" Hank asked as I translated. Lau Lau nodded. "Yup, we may be old, but we're not slowing down." "I feel the same, Lau Lau. That's why I'm here, halfway across the world," Hank replied. He reached over and patted my hair. "Mia here keeps me young." Lau Lau pushed aside the plastic flaps to the restaurant and said, "Now you're about to have the best silk tofu in town. Nothing to keep your complexion looking young like tofu." It was a small place with one long communal table surrounded by wooden stools. The steam coming from the kitchen warmed us even more than the heaters did. Lala told us they served only tofuno, which is a northern Chinese dish of tofu, peanut butter, coriander, and soy sauce. "Peanut butter?" Hank asked. "Didn't think that was a Chinese seasoning." "You'd be surprised. The creamy peanut butter goes well with the silk tofu. You're going to love it," Lau Lau raved. She waved hi to the other regulars around the communal table, many of them seniors. I could eat it all day long. The chef sighed as he walked over with our food. "Not for long, I'm afraid," he said. He pointed to a sign on the wall. "We're closing at the end of the month." "What?" Lau Lau asked. "But I've been coming here for 15 years. The chef shook his head. "The landlords say rents are going up all over Beijing. He's nearly doubling ours. I wish we could afford it, but we're just a breakfast shop." "It's a shame," another customer chimed in. "This place is a neighborhood treasure." "Now where are we going to go for our breakfast after exercise?" another senior added. "McDonald's?" I gazed down at the silky tofu now, which clearly meant so much more than a breakfast to this community. I wish there was something I could do. I put the spoon to my head and slurped delicious tofu. Lupe and Jason would lose their mind over it. "Lau Lau, this is so good," I said. But my grandmother just sat there staring at the closed sign. Hank was in deep thought too. He poked his head into the kitchen, checking it out as the owner gave us a couple of fried dough sticks on the house. As we walked home, Lau Lau, Hank, and I took turns munching on the crispy youtiao. Lao Ye came running out into the courtyard when we got home. I noticed he was clutching my journal. "Mia!" he cried, opening to the entry I'd written for Miss Swan. "The story you wrote is wonderful." I blushed. "It's just for English class," I explained. "That part you wrote about um, visiting Popsicle Grandpa was good," Lao Ye beamed as he handed it to me. I looked up in surprise that he could understand all my English. Then I remembered he was an English teacher before he retired. "Thanks," I told him. "It was pretty cool talking to Ye." "Can I show everyone?" Lao Ye asked. "Tonight at dinner, I'll call your aunts and uncles and tell them to come over, and maybe tomorrow morning I'll go down to the paper." "To the paper?" Lao Lao interrupted. There you go again, getting carried away with your big ideas. Yeah, I don't think that's such a good idea. I agree. I didn't need another rejection letter added to my stack. No thanks. That was not the kind of souvenir I wanted. Lauya looked disappointed. But it's so good, he protested. I'd like to read it, Hank said. We will all read it at dinner, Lauya decided. I was a little nervous, but I also felt a tiny flicker of excitement. It'd been a long time since I'd shared my work with a group of people. If it couldn't be published in a newspaper, maybe my writing could still be published at the table. For dinner that night, Lao Lao made homemade mantao, a light, fluffy steamed bun. Hank took one bite and said it would make an amazing hamburger bun. Lao Lao served her with ham and eggs and sliced cucumber. As everyone helped themselves, my grandfather read out my story. Uh, as the story got over, my mom reached for my dad's hand under the table. Wow, that's a great story, Mia, Shen said, clapping. Thanks, I said, smiling. I had to admit, it felt nice to hear my words out aloud. I wish I had gone to see with you to see Popsicle Grandpa. You can, maybe after school, tomorrow? I suggested. Shen sighed. I have so much homework. Christmas wasn't officially celebrated in China, so none of my cousins had 2 weeks off from school like me. Uh, okay, so look at all the foreign investment in China now. All the new buildings and businesses that have sprouted. Why, our building has a gym with a treadmill. It's true, Uncle Joe nodded. Our country has turned a page, Aunt Julie said, and what a glorious new page it is. My grandmother sighed. Not for everyone. I'm afraid just today I found out that our favorite tofu now place is closing down. They're increasing the rent. Actually, Hank said, holding up a finger when he heard the word tofu now. I've been thinking. Everyone turned to look at him while I translated. What if it doesn't have to close? Hank said. What if they rented out the space during lunch and dinner to somebody who wanted to say open up a pop-up restaurant in China? Like who? Lao asked. Like, I don't know, someone who makes really delicious, authentic burgers? Hank shrugged. I put my mouth down. No way. Was Hank saying what I thought he was saying? We were all quiet for a moment. Then Uncle Joe cried. I think it's genius. Absolute genius. You have no competitor other than McDonald's and our burgers don't hold a candle to yours. Wait a minute. What about that place in Main Street Grill? Aunt Julie asked. Nah, I've been there, Hank said. The burgers are overcooked and overpriced. Isn't that right, Mia? Hank's are a gazillion times better, I agreed. I'm not just thinking of dining in, I'm thinking of takeout, delivery, the whole 9 yards. Delivery? My aunts and uncles asked. They had never heard of such a thing. As Hank explained, it was like a lightning bolt went off in my relative's head. What an idea, buddy! You're going to make a killing, Uncle Joe said. I'd like to be the first to invest. But wait, aren't you supposed to be on vacation? Uncle Bimming asked. Hank chuckled. It'll be fun. Besides, I'd love to make some extra cash so I can bring back some real nice stuff for Fred, Billy Bob, Miss Q, and Mrs. T. Dad exchanged a look with my mom and said, We'd love to help. My partners, Hank chuckled. Always, Dad smiled, shaking his hand. But that's just 2 people, Aunt Julie protested. Where are you going to get the rest of your delivery guys? Hank tilted his head into the light, posing with his best Samuel L. Jackson smile. I think I know some people looking for work.